What's up, people? It's your girl Adiola. This first story from South Africa is for every one of us, regardless of where we are. It's about some people in the community of Harry Smith in South Africa who decided enough is enough. We're no longer waiting on the government to fix things for ourselves in our community. We will fix our own community. It started when they didn't have water for 40 days in Harry Smith, and they had protested. Nothing happened. The government didn't have their time. So this man decided protest will not solve the problem because the government doesn't care. So together with an irrigation farmer in the community who knows how to fix pumps, they went to see the source of the problem.
It all began a year ago. The town of Harry Smith had been without water for 40 days, and for the residents of Intabazwe, it had been months. The youth were about to close down the N3. Community leader Sam Twala had had enough and went to find the source of the problem. Here he met local farmer Petrus Clausen van Eerden, who had the same idea.
And sure enough, it was something that they could fix themselves.
I looked at the pump and I realized that it was really easy to fix. I asked the municipality if there was enough authority in this meeting to give me the responsibility to fix the water. And that's actually how we started.
You know, we stood up. Within 4 days, we managed to have water. Look, this is not a joke.
So they fixed their own water source instead of just waiting for the government. I mean, they waited for the government for 40 days. That's more than a month. Within the time that they decided to stop waiting and do something, the entire community had water within 4 days. And they didn't stop there. They decided to repair the entire water system of their community.
But they soon realized the entire water system was severely neglected. It took 3 months to repair the lines, starting with cleaning the filtration plant and paying for chemicals to purify the water. At times, it was really dangerous work. And the whole community has got involved.
From the ground up, everybody really got involved. It was quite an amazing time.
And do you know that they paid for everything themselves? And that was how it all began. They called themselves the Water Heroes. And from one project to another, more and more people joined them.
Once they started, they couldn't stop, from doing major infrastructure repairs to cleaning the abandoned Harry Smith Municipal Office. Anyone who had a skill was brought on board. Former plumber Christopher Kadebi led the team repairing over 400 leaking toilets.
And now they're rebuilding their own community. Sometimes they don't even know what they're doing, but they would find experts to help them.
This morning they're heading out to repair a burst pipe, which had been neglected for a month. Have you got the technical expertise here?
We get technical expertise in. None of us are technically inclined as far as this is concerned, but we do consult people as we need.
In one community, they've had no water since 2015, and these heroes installed a tank for them so that they could have water.
Sam, the water wasn't reaching these houses because of the low pressure, and you've installed these JoJo tanks.
Because people can't wait for the trucks that they don't even know when they coming.
Shlagiwe Mataung says they've been without pipe water since 2015.
And as expected, the government, after failing to do what they're supposed to do, the government is now upset that these volunteers took charge.
Water heroes did certain things, which under normal circumstances is not permissible. No one is entitled to work on municipal infrastructure if you are not a municipal employee.
You know, I love the reporter's reaction. And you know, of course, they don't like the idea that after using their personal money to buy their equipment and fix these things, that these water heroes will go to the government to ask for a refund.
We don't have any beef with you guys. But if it is that you want to be a service provider, turn yourself into a company and subject yourself to the rules of the game.
I'm glad that they're asking for a refund because they shouldn't spend their money.
We are not here for business. That is why we have never even charged them any extra amount of money from what Mr. Clausen has paid.
But do you know that the government still wants them to pay taxes every month for the services that they are not providing?
You are obliged to take care of your municipal rates and service charges bill on a monthly basis.
If you are getting any service, they say they're not getting any service whatsoever, so why should they pay?
I don't get it. You know, it is very important that we talk about this because we see so many things as the government's responsibility. And it is the government's responsibility. I am not disputing that. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if something like this is sustainable because people cannot be building their own bridges and highways. They cannot continue to spend their personal money. There's a reason why we have the government. So I know it's the government's responsibility, which is why I also think these people should run for office so that they will have the resources to make real difference. But you know, when the government fails to do some things, we the people, we have to learn to take responsibility because of two reasons. Number one, guess who suffers? We are the ones that suffer. Okay, if they didn't fix that pipe, they're the ones that will be without water for at least another 2 months. We have to start fixing whatever we can fix if the government is not doing it. I've seen neighborhoods with untarred roads that when you're driving, you are doing like this, you are doing like this. The dust on some of these roads has stained so many houses, especially if you paint your house white. You can just see the dust on the house, And when it rains, nobody can drive on these roads with ease. And these same people in these neighborhoods, they would buy fancy cars, and after some months they have to start fixing their nice cars. They are the ones suffering. It is the government's responsibility to build roads, I know that, but some of these neighborhoods, they've ignored their roads for like 5-10 years. Obviously the government will not do anything. I think that the people there can come together and invest in whatever they can afford, maybe interlocking blocks or plastic. The young people in the neighborhood can go on YouTube and search for cheap road construction techniques. Now people are using plastic to construct roads. You may be surprised to learn something new that may even become a business if you go on YouTube and just you see what I'm saying? I see so many public schools that are dilapidated. The roof is old, there's no window, no toilet, no doors. The community knows that the government will not fix this school. For years they've abandoned it, but in the same community there will be carpenters, bricklayers, engineers, architects. Some of them, they have their children that are getting soaked when it rains during school hours in some of these schools. Some of their children get sick because of cold. I don't see why the school authority and the parents cannot come together to do whatever they can, at least for the sake of their children. Now, the second reason that I think that we must take responsibility if the government is not, is because I believe our leaders come from among us, the people. And if we have the mindset that everything is the government's responsibility, we won't take responsibility or initiative, which is important in developing leadership skills. Just criticizing the government doesn't mean that you can actually do a better job if you've not been taking responsibility or initiative for where you are or whatever you're managing right now. If you cannot run maybe one small business or whatever you're doing right now successfully, what makes you think that when you become a politician you're going to do well? It doesn't work like that. You have to prove yourself with whatever you have in your hands right now, wherever you are, whatever work you're doing. Prove yourself as a leader where you are. Prove yourself as responsible where you are. Prove yourself as someone that can take initiative, not someone that is always waiting for everybody else to take responsibility and then they will do the small job that remains. Prove yourself as capable. Prove yourself as responsible. Prove yourself as a leader where you are, and who knows, you may be given an opportunity to lead more people. So if we're given a chance to lead, we may end up doing worse than the government that we criticize if we've not been leading where we are. So many people want to be politicians today, but not because they want to make a difference in the lives of people. It's because they want to make money. In Nigeria, for example, we don't groom leaders. We have a culture where anyone that gets into politics wants to die there. If anything, they don't want young people to get in power. So they are not even thinking about grooming young people. They just want to die there. Which is why some young politicians that we have today, once they get in office, they just do the same thing that they've been criticizing. They start buying expensive cars, building houses. I better chop all that I can before my time is up. And that's why I want to challenge us today to start taking responsibility for where we are, for our community. If you're a headmistress, for example, and you see that another window is broken at your school, don't just walk by, don't ignore it. Madam headmistress, do something about it. In fact, you can make it a project for the students who are learning woodwork. If it's a wooden window, just have them fix it. So many of our tertiary institutions today, so many of our hospitals in Nigeria are seriously dilapidated because no one wants to take responsibility. I know it is the government's responsibility, but if the government is not doing it, what can you do? Some people won't even take responsibility for their own office. They still want the government to fix the broken chair in their office. I don't get it. Let's start doing what we can do. Again, I'm not saying that it's not the government's responsibility, but if it's something that we can fix to make life easier for ourselves, let's do it while we wait for the government, So if you decide to do something in your community or your school or your place of work, please write me. Let's hear it. I've said it several times that you do not have to be in government to make a difference. You do not have to be a politician. Or let me put it this way. We will not all be in government, but we can all make a difference. You guys not do much. Guess what? I'm just keeping it real. So I really apologize that there are some really sad stories in this episode, but if you guys can stick around till the end, there's another inspiring story. So this next story has bothered me for like 2 months. I'm sure you guys must have heard about the 72-year-old Nigerian man from New York, that is Mr. Mutiu Agbosasa, who moved back to Nigeria after 45 years of living in New York, where he worked and retired as a chartered accountant at the New York Metropolitan Hospital. The man built a house for himself in Ikorodu, Lagos after his retirement, which he formally moved into last year, 2019. But very early on December 15th, according to his gate man, he was pulling into his compound in his car when 4 men attacked him right inside his compound. And by the time the gate man came back from calling for help, Baba Agbosasa had been shot, killed, cut into pieces, and burnt in his own car. I'm really sorry to be detailed about what happened, but the main issue is, till now, it's been 2 months, but the police have not arrested anyone or conduct a conclusive investigation as to who was responsible for the gruesome murder. The man was never into politics. He had no criminal record while he was here in the US for 45 years. He didn't own any business, which is why his family is left wondering why anybody would have done this to their dad. And you know, because the police is not forthcoming about their investigation, the people responsible for this, they're still out there, meaning that they can do the same thing to another person. As a matter of fact, none of his children could go for his funeral in Nigeria because they had no idea if the killers are still out there. They had no idea why this will happen. It's just been so painful. You know, it's one thing to lose a father in such a gruesome way, but just imagine them getting the call 10 days to Christmas. But it's another thing for them not to be able to say goodbye or give their father a befitting burial. A lot of people call them from Nigeria and say, don't come home. You know, it's just been a really scary time. They don't even know what to do. And for them, it's like they need some kind of answer. Please, Nigerian police. The last time that I spoke with one of his children in New York, she said to me that the police is not giving them anything. And they're not giving anything to their people on ground. The man's wife was actually in Nigeria when this happened. She was at night vigil when this happened. She just got a call. Imagine finishing an all-night prayer and getting a call that your husband has. I don't even want to go there. How can we sweep this under the carpet? At the same time, you're telling people to move back to Nigeria. And you know, it's not as if people don't die abroad as well. And this can happen even to those living in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, it happens. But the fact that the police is not giving any information, no closure for his family, leaves many people wondering about security in Nigeria if they move back to Nigeria. His children already told me that they're never moving back to Nigeria. But I also know people that don't even know this man, but once they heard about his story, they were like, I don't know about moving back to that country, man. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not calling for special security for people who live abroad and move back to Nigeria. All I'm trying to say is we have a major problem with security in Nigeria and we need to work on it. I mean, if you were to be a politician or a big man, they would have made arrest by now. 2 months, haba, and no information from the police. Mrs. Abike Dabiri knows about this. She condemned it when this happened, and she promised that the security agencies would ensure that the killers were tracked down and made to face justice. But it looks like everybody has moved on. Madam Abike Dabiri, in case you are watching, my mother in the Lord, we know that when you want to do something, Mami Abike, Bernie, you get it done. Thank you so much. Like how you brought out that lady from Lebanon. Thank you for bringing that lady. We are so grateful. But please, Mami Abike, please help this family as well. They need some kind of answer. The fact that these killers are still out there means they can still do the same thing to others, regardless of whether the person moved from the US back to Nigeria or the person has lived in Nigeria all their lives. But it's not all sad story. This story is not all sad. Every year, his daughter that lives in New York runs a charity program in Ikorodu, taking care of the widows, the elderly, the handicapped, providing free medical care, providing food, clothes, shoes, and so on and so forth. So every Good Friday, they literally feed thousands of people at the Teslim Balogun Stadium in Surulere, Lagos. They give them clothes and they select kids, children, to give a whole year of scholarship. And all she does is ask people to donate used clothes, shoes, bags in New York, and then she would ship them to Lagos for the event. And guess what? Her dad would always help her. In fact, he goes to this event. This is a family that gives back. Despite how their dad was killed, despite all that they've been through, this woman is determined to continue with the program. As a matter of fact, she's getting ready for the 2020 Good Friday outreach. Please check her out on Facebook. Her Facebook page is The Bash. I would really appreciate if you guys can contact her family just to encourage them, because you know the last 2 months have been so difficult.
My mom's been through a lot, and I don't know how she's like going through it, because she's like, what's it called, like giving to the poor when like she needs it the most. So that's how you know my mom's a true like superhero. Good job, Mom.
What do I need the most?
You need like,
I don't need
so
no
basically
clothes.
like, you not the clothes, you need like comfort. When you're comforting other people.
Oh, thank you.
Mom.
If anyone living in New York or New Jersey has clothes or shoes or whatever, let her know on Facebook. And if you're in Lagos and you would want to be part of what she's doing, please contact her on Facebook. You guys not know much. Guess what? I'm just keeping it real.
Aha! It's here again. Another opportunity to serve humanity. Yes, so it's the Bash Annual Humanitarian Service 2020. Giving is fun. It is another time of the year to reach out to the widows, aged adults, and poor masses. Free medical services, foods, clothes, bags, and lots more. This comes up on Good Friday, April 10, 2020. Time 12 p.m. Venue is Teslim Balogun Stadium, Surulere, Lagos State. Tell somebody to tell another person not to miss this opportunity. The Bash Annual Humanitarian Service 2020. Giving is fun. The Great The Bash, God is awesome.
Moving on to Rwanda, in 2014, a popular gospel artist, Kizito Mihigo, was arrested shortly after he released a song that indirectly acknowledged that it's not just the Tutsis that were killed during the genocide in Rwanda, that Hutus were also killed. The man is Tutsi, and both his parents were killed in the genocide, making him an orphan. Yet, he's saying people should have empathy for the Hutus who were also killed in a revenge attack. Now, it's actually a song about people coming together in peace, in reconciliation, in unity. You know, he said death is death no matter who it happens to. And he just wants people to have empathy on others. Kagame, the president, is also a Tutsi, like Kizito, but there has been several reports that Kagame's army, the RPF, also killed Hutus during the genocide in a revenge attack in Rwanda, and that Kagame even invaded Congo, killing Hutus, including women and children. That's like invading another country. But you know, Kagame doesn't like people talking about the killing of Hutus. As far as Kagame is concerned, only the Tutsis were killed in the genocide. As a matter of fact, in 2014, BBC did a documentary and said Hutus were also slaughtered. And because of that, Kagame kicked the BBC out of Rwanda. Time and time again, he's arrested anyone that says that Hutus were also killed, because that would mean that he's acknowledging taking part in the genocide. Remember Victoria Ngabire, the woman who tried to run against Kagame in 2010? The moment she said that both sides were killed, he put her in prison for 8 years. A presidential candidate. I don't know, people say that he put his opponents in prison to make them afraid, but it looks to me like the person who is actually afraid is Kagame. I just don't know exactly what he's afraid of. I mean, if you have to constantly try to shut up your opponent, there's something that you're afraid of.
But according to President Kagame, seen here at a meeting with his soldiers shortly after the genocide, there were no revenge attacks. And despite all the evidence, no one is allowed to say that there were.
So when this gospel artist, who's very popular in Rwanda, Congo, Burundi, and other countries, released that song in 2014, they arrested him and they put him in prison for 4 years. A gospel artist. They accused him of terrorism. They also said that he denied the genocide simply because he acknowledged both sides. This was his audio recording while in prison.
Dans les jours suivants à la sortie de cette chanson, j'ai subi des insultes, des menaces et des messages me prévenant que quelque chose de mauvais allait m'arriver.
Do you know that a week after he was arrested, this is what Kagame said?
A few days after Mihigo's arrest, he said in a speech, "I'm not a singer. I could never sing in praise of those who wish Rwanda harm. He who threatens his country's peace must pay."
And while in prison, Kizito had sent out an audio recording of how the chief of staff invited him to the office of the Senate president, where they told him that Kagame didn't like his song.
J'ai été invité par la directrice de cabinet du président et le rendez-vous a eu lieu dans les bureaux du président du Sénat. L'actuel président du Sénat, à l'époque, il était vice-président du Sénat. Tous les deux m'ont dit que le président n'avait pas aimé ma chanson. J'étais allongé par terre et on me frappait sur les fesses.
Wow. So in 2018, they released him, but they kept monitoring every of his movement. Last year, he didn't show up at the 25 years, the remembrance of the genocide. He normally would go and he would even perform there, but his stand is, even though it is mostly the Tutsis that were killed in the genocide, both sides should be remembered. That's his stance. So on the 13th of this month, a day before Valentine's Day, they arrested him and accused him of trying to cross the border illegally to join a terrorist group in Burundi in order to destabilize Rwanda. First of all, the place where he was found, yes, it's not far from the border, but it was actually his hometown. And the man was still in Rwanda. I don't get it. And even if he was trying to go to another country, how do you accuse a gospel artist of trying to go and join terrorists? I don't get it. And then on the 17th of this month, the government of Rwanda announced that Kizito committed suicide in police custody. So he didn't commit suicide the time he spent 4 years in prison. He didn't commit suicide the 1.5 years that he's been released, but suddenly he committed suicide in police custody. Abba.
We want to reach out to our fellow Africans, people around our country of Rwanda, our neighbors, and anyone else who is interested in justice, in the rule of law, interested in peace, interested in people living without fear for their lives, interested in the idea that people can have freedom of speech, the idea that people can live in a country where the government serves them and does not terrorize them.
Now that is Rwandan activist Peter Mutabaruka calling for all Africans to help them. According to him, Kagame is very interested in what other Africans think of him.
They are killed, they are disappeared, they are terrorized, their families are killed, their families are tortured. So it is something that is inconceivable for most Rwandans to speak out against the regime. And so Rwandans are not an issue for the president. The opposition is not really an issue for the president because he's made enough examples of them to keep them quiet. But what he is concerned with is his image outside the borders of Rwanda. The president is obsessed with other Africans singing his praises, making comparisons to their own leaders, and saying, look at the miracle that Kagame has managed to do in Rwanda. But this is a lie. There is no miracle in Rwanda.
You know, when I think about Rwanda sometimes, it reminds me of China a lot. Many people don't know that there's no freedom of expression in China. The government controls the media and all the information put out about China. Do you guys know that when the coronavirus broke out, the government didn't allow the media to report it to the outside world? In fact, so many people died and they were not even counted. And then they arrested the doctor that warned people about the outbreak. Not only that, at least 5 people have gone missing within the time that this virus started, just for saying enough is enough.
武汉这个事情，武汉这个瘟疫，都是有计谋、有计划发出来这个瘟疫，牺牲的是我们平民老百姓。我发声，我也很危险，我也知道，但是我已经受不了了，受不了了。
Yet, China is building roads, they have fancy buildings, just like Rwanda. But in the 26 years that Kagame has been ruling Rwanda, you never heard about the people there protesting. Even when they demolished the homes of poor people in Kigali last December, in fact, some of these people are still homeless. The government said it's because of climate change, but the fact remains that some of these people are still homeless and they still cannot protest. No one protested when the government closed down more than 8,000 churches in 2018. 8,000! Me, I'm not saying that churches shouldn't meet safety, hygiene, and structural requirements, but closing down 8,000 churches is taken into another level, and nobody could say anything. If you have any opinion that is different from that of the President Kagame, you are not allowed to share it. So Rwandan activists are asking that you do a few things.
One is to disregard the lies that you've heard about Kagame, about his regime in Rwanda, and do some research, some critical research, and see what's really happening in the country.
Also, they want you to denounce the killings of innocent people in Rwanda and call for justice.
Let him not continue to enjoy favor based on the lies that he has propagated around Africa and around the world, where people see him as a savior, where people see him as a good leader, when the reality is that he is the murderous, tyrannical dictator that is oppressing the people of Rwanda and of the region around.
Lastly, a few days after Kizito's arrest, another activist, Fred Barafinda, who tried to run against Kagame in 2017, was also arrested, and his whereabouts is still unknown. That was after they took him to a mental institution, saying that he has mental problems.
We're afraid that Fred Barafinda may also get assassinated, and we just want to alert the world to know and make sure that we ask the questions before it happens, and if it happens, that the government of Rwanda is held accountable for it.
Rwandan activists want you to keep asking the government about Fred Barafinda. Our sincere condolences to the family of the gospel artist, his friends, his loved ones. May he so rest in peace. You guys not know much. Guess what? I'm just kidding. Moving on to Cameroon. On Valentine's Day, February 14th, a day of love, soldiers invaded a place called Ngabo, a territory of the English speakers of Cameroon, at 4 a.m., killing at least 35 people. Majority of them children below the age of 12, 2 pregnant women, 1 nursing mom and her baby, and they burnt their bodies in their houses.
Opposition parties and rights groups in Cameroon have condemned the killings, which they have attributed to the Cameroon army.
And according to the UN Office for Humanitarian Affairs, even pregnant women and children were amongst those killed.
As usual, the government of Cameroon denied this incident. The government of Paul Biya, they said that there was an explosion and only 1 woman and 4 children died.
The Ministry of Defense denies the army is to blame. It, however, claims that only 5 civilians were killed in an unfortunate accident which was sparked by an explosion.
And then they also said it's the fault of the Ambazonians, that they were the ones responsible.
Well, the government is blaming this attack on Ambazonian separatists and has distanced itself from the event.
This has been going on for at least 4 years now, which is why at least 60,000 Cameroon English speakers have ended up as refugees in Nigeria alone.
United Nations has called for an independent investigation into the violence and has said perpetrators of the killings should be held accountable.
Why is everybody calling on the government of Cameroon to investigate these incidents when they are allegedly the perpetrators? I think the UN should please carry out independent investigation. You know, these people were farmers. They were not a threat to anybody. Some families were completely wiped out. One man said he watched as they killed his wife, his mom, and his entire family. How is he supposed to be normal again after that? Paul Biya has been in power for 42 years and he's 87 and he continues to kill his own people. I don't know why Nigerian president is not saying anything. As a matter of fact, when he went to Nigeria, they welcomed him. I don't understand how their conversation did not include the fact that Paul Biya's people are running into Nigeria. Right now, we still have Cameroonians that are hiding in the jungle. Huge kudos to a Cameroonian man who is now making survival videos on YouTube for those who have been displaced in Cameroon. Dr. Isaac Zama, please check out his YouTube channel, Amber Farmer's Voice, and please make sure that you watch his videos and subscribe. Also, another Cameroonian man has developed an app where people can empower the refugees by providing them with loans, resources for farming, artwork, sewing, and much more. It's called Amber Refugees. Please make sure that you check it out. You can download it. You can be part of it. To those who lost their loved ones on that Valentine's Day, please accept our condolences. You guys not know much. Guess what? I'm just keeping it real. So on a lighter note, a group of 20 teenagers in South Africa built a plane in less than 3 weeks.
A lot of people thought that it was really impossible, that this was just a dream, it was going to fail.
Who would want to build a plane? I mean, that's something teenagers normally don't do.
But it got really, really, really tough.
How amazing!
I'm Agnes Kamogetse and I built the beautiful wings on this plane. And I also built the center fuselage, and I also built the horizontal and the vertical stabilizer.
My name is Resego Moroka and I'm 18 years old. And I built the central fuselage, which is known as the cockpit. It's over here.
So it's a ready-made plane, so they ordered it and assembled it, and they flew it from South Africa to Cairo in Egypt.
My name is Megan Werner. I'm 17 years old and I'm the founder of You Dream Global. It's a group of 20 teenagers that have built a plane and now we are flying it across Africa from Cape Town to Cairo.
What? Girl, shut up! You know why didn't y'all invite me? I would have put it on my resume that I built a plane as well. Now, the best part of this exercise is how it inspired these young people.
Showed me that do not postpone your dreams. You can actually achieve what you want to achieve right now, this instant. You are more than capable of doing so.
How amazing! Okay, please let your story inspire you today that anything is possible. Maybe you're not trying to build a plane, maybe you just want to build a business, or maybe you want to save money, maybe you have a goal that you're really hoping to go after, maybe you want to start your own company. I don't know, whatever it is, if they can build a plane, you can do whatever you need to do. You guys not know much. Guess what? I'm just keeping it real. Alright y'all, it's been real and I'm keeping it right up in here. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and if you're yet to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please make sure that you do that. Until next time, I'ma see you all later. Peace out.